T-cell. Upset. Up. Parade. Rest. T-cell. Upset. Up. Carry on.
Good afternoon, America. I'd like to take time to reiterate to you what just played a moment ago. The music that was just playing is a melody that the American forces have been using since it's been founded. The melody that's just been played is otherwise known as reveille. It is what we use to allow us to focus and start on our daily activities and continue on against the fight against terror. Ever since the founding of American history, there's been a whole lot of wars that have been fought. Examples include the Revolutionary War, the Civil War, and the Vietnamese War. Those are just some of the examples. Because of the sacrifice that our American troops have made over the years, they allow us to prosper into the future, focus on our daily activities, and defend those who don't have the means to protect themselves. We will never be able to repay our brothers and sisters of the armed forces for some of the things they have done over the years, the sacrifices they have made, and still are willing to go out into the utmost of dangerous of circumstances and perform their duties against the terrorists and tyrants that are going across the world, terrorizing those around them. I stand before you today to honor the memory of a man who not only got me over the years, but has inspired me to be who I am today and to listen to the American Armed Forces. His name is Thomas Cropper. He's lived a long, prolonged life, and he's otherwise known as Sergeant Cropper. Sergeant Cropper is a very reverend man. I would like to begin by telling his story by telling you the longevity of the life that he has lived. Excuse me. He was born on May 10th, 1901. He was carried to heaven January 22nd, 2003. Now, if my mathematics is correct, I believe he has lived to be 102, soon to be 103. How blessed must one have to be to live a century plus and see all the things that you have saw in the time. He lived his life almost like that as a farmer. He grew his own vegetables and fruits in his backyard. He had a small garden. My mother, Tracy Cropper, still continues this on tradition today. She grows watermelons, plums, and tomatoes. Thomas Cropper fought in World War II, and he's kept pretty much a journal of the daily activities and some of the things he has experienced abroad seas. One of the most inspiring stories that he has told me, though, is the story where he captured a group of Germans in this platoon, and the Germans were very angry by this because it wasn't for the fact that they got caught by a group of Americans. It was a lot worse than that, because it was considered to be an abomination at the time. What did happen to them, the reason why they got mad is because they was caught by an African American platoon, and that pissed them up to the utmost. What he told me is he experienced throughout his time in the life that he has lived, he inspired me to listen to our words today, as I said earlier, and he has helped me to overcome some of the challenges that I've endured. I try to live my life following in his footsteps and the footsteps of the Tuskegee Airmen. For those who don't know who the Tuskegee Airmen are, the Tuskegee Airmen are 1,000 African American men back in the World War II era who were a fighter squadron. They were the 332nd Fighter Squadron of Air Force Base in Alabama that defended bombers in the sky from enemy fighter aircraft that would deter them from doing their job. I think about the time period in which Thomas Crawford lived. All the things he had faced since the 20th century. He had to live through both World Wars I and II. He had to make it through the Vietnamese War, the Korean War, he's seen that in his time. Not just wars, but he's also seen other massive events that has occurred, like the Great Depression in American history, the worst. We actually experienced living through the Civil Rights Movement era, and he's also experienced living in the Cold War era where America was feared being hit by Russia by nuclear weapons. For those who don't know too much about the Great Depression era, the Great Depression era is pretty much the most economical, demeaning time of America's history. It was one of the most times where our economy was hurt and people lost faith in American industries, which is another thing that brought about another fear that people did not like too much of communism, because the political party was communism. It was a lifestyle which everyone would try to live pretty much the same no matter when you were born. You could not move up in the world, you could not move down. The American people feared this because the Axis powers, otherwise Japan, Germany, and Russia at that time were trying to convert the entire world to communism. The American people feared that it would pretty much overtake their daily lives. We did not want this. What I have here, which I'm sorry, it's kind of blurred in the camera, you can't see it, it's a political cartoon. It's words of Herbert Hoover. Herbert Hoover was president around the time of the Great Depression, so he pretty much accepted the blame for a lot of things that happened. Since the banks crashed, there's a lot of people who went poor, and as a result, there are items named after him, such as that as Hoover blanket, which is a newspaper that people step on all the time, which people still use today, but don't refer to it as a Herbert Hoover blanket. Another thing that had a name to it was the Hoovervilles. Hoovervilles were people who would get together and live in cardboard boxes, forming that so much as a village. Even though Gordon Thomas Crawford had to live through these hard times throughout American history, he still kept his head held high, which I'm glad he passed that trait on to me, because no matter what, I try to remain happy as much as I can, even throughout the daily challenges that I do face. He kept his head held high, and he one day dreamed of America that we wouldn't have to face any many wars, where the wolves would stop flying, the bombs would stop dropping, and hatred would stop spreading itself. If he were alive today, he would be happy to have witnessed some of the events that have taken place throughout history. One example of such is the first African American president. And the first African American president has been elected 2 terms. The African American president's name is Barack Obama. He is our 44th and 45th American president. Back in the early 1900s, it was unheard of for any African American to play any particular major role in politics. Very few were, but it's pretty much unheard of, let alone become the commander-in-chief of the United States and American Armed Forces. I enlisted myself in the armed forces, as I stated before, and following the footsteps of my great-grandfather, Thomas Crawford. He lived a very long life, as I stated before. He taught me quite a few things over the years. He was the one man who believed in me when the doctor told my mother that I was going to be mentally challenged and wasn't going to live past the age of 6. He was the one that believed in me, myself, where my mother, sons, two older sons, myself and my youngest daughter, he believed that myself would be the one that would pursue an academic education and follow a career path in my future. It was allowed me to pursue the career of becoming a pilot. I now stand before you, in front of you today, as an accomplished airman of the American Armed Forces and the Air Force. I'm trying to follow my dreams for one day becoming a pilot. That's why I stated earlier that I'm following the steps of each airman and the footsteps of my great-grandfather. My grandfather taught me when I go throughout my life, follow a set of principles. Live my life with integrity. When I make a decision, no matter what decision I make, right or wrong, most likely to be right, you always support the reason why I make that decision. You always have some support. And another thing that he has taught me is to follow through with my beliefs and help others. Even when people have done wrong to me, I try to do the best I can to help others or avoid those who do not want any help or try to be nasty to others. This melody that you are about to hear momentarily from now is the melody that otherwise known as TAPS, that the American Armed Forces has used at the end of the duty day to honor those who have passed over the years, their sacrifice. And that way we live the way we do now. Loving the stones, loving the grass blades that grow around us. Can't beat that. It's our own ground. Must affect it. When the melody will end, the service member will stand out of standing attention, and they will say, "Thank you, sir," and "Thank you, ma'am," when the melody is over. Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. America, I am Tristan Moody, great-grandson of Thomas Copper. I am proud to be a brother of the Armed Forces. And thank you for your time. You have a blessed day.